active to keep that ranking.
World Combat Sports. Shout out to the Boxing Voice.
Let's say Rosario gets past Williams.
I'm piggybacking off their live with Tony Harrison addressing the comments that he put out there with Jermell Charlo during their fight, potentially using, you know, an unregulated substance. It's just alleged. It's an accusation. It's a lot of structure to go to it, but I'll get into it after they fight. I mean, after they finish this.
Exactly. So now you mean to tell me just because don't nobody want to fight me, I gotta fight guys like this guy, that guy. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, I can't make this stuff up. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I had a hell of a performance and a hell of a fight in the second rated highest show of the year. It was a great show, man.
Bro, but even Luis Ortiz
have to go back to rock bottom because of a loss.
Even Luis Ortiz had to go back and fight like Travis Kaufman and whoever he fought.
Yeah, but guess what? You're right. You're right about that. But guess what? You're right about that. He got a second title. But guess what? I promise you, after his great performance that he just had again, I promise that he won't go back to fighting Travis Kaufman. It don't even make sense for Luis Ortiz to fight somebody like that. Some of this stuff just got to make sense.
All right, give me your short list.
And that's all I'm saying. Like, just make it make sense.
Give me your short list. The only names getting Tony Harrison out of bed and running miles again, going back to Florida for the Heat and Keith Thurman's gym. You already said Charlo. Right. You already said Williams.
Number one is Charlo.
Okay.
My number one will be Charlo. My number two will probably going over to England, find somebody like Kayla. Just would give me up. I'm a hot dog environment and stuff like that. Ooh, the smell of napalm is just shit. My number three would be Lara. Lara's been a dominant name in the sport for the longest. And my number four will probably be my number four would be my rematch. My number five would be Williams.
I can actually see Laura fight happening. Laura doesn't have anything scheduled. People already don't.
Shout out to the Boxing Voice.
That's a good fight.
I'm piggybacking off their live right now because it's very interesting.
I just love to tangle with the guy.
With Tony Harrison accusations against Jermell Charlo.
I would love to fight.
Hey, smash that like button for me.
You know what I mean?
World Combat Sports.
I was about to say that. What about that curveball? Would you take Castano since he coming off the draw?
I would fight Castano. You know what? I would actually. I think he got to fight with Patrick Texia or whatever his name is. I think. But I actually, if he wins that fight, I would fight Castano. Easy. I would easily fight him. Next, easy.
Man, so that means you fight just about anybody because you fighting everybody except Lubin. Then I mean Julian Williams.
No, no. I said I would fight if Castano wins the title from Patrick. Patrick, I would fight him. I wouldn't want to fight somebody like that just if they just called me to say, let's fight him and that's the money. I'm like I said, one thing for sure is to fight these guys that they're telling me to fight like a Lubin or Castano or somebody like that. Like I would fight them. Trust me, believe I would fight them. The money just got to be right. You cannot give me startup money and tell me to fight guys that's looking to make me as a name. I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do that.
All right. Well, Mike, you got anything else? Because if not, I got a couple of questions from the people, obviously.
Go ahead.
All right. Terrell Harris from Detroit says, Champ, they think your reign is over. I know damn well it's far from over. I know getting back your green. WBC is the main goal. If the rematch with Charlo doesn't work out, how do you feel about
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm gonna stop it right there for a second because I'm not trying to, piggyback off their entire live, but I just thought the content that they was talking about, as always, was conducive, but more so, the breaking accusations made by Tony Harrison on Jermell Charlo, and potentially him using an unauthorized type of fluid, liquid, or whatever you want to call it, during their fight. Because basically, the point he was making is that they're giving water bottles. And if you go to boxing matches and you go behind the scenes back in the dressing room, they have water bottles. And most of the time, the trainers will get a bucket, they have ice, and they put the water bottles in the ice, and you just go in there and you use the water bottles. So, it's clear. You don't have any type of speculations, accusations, people believing that you're cheating, and you just use the water bottle. But clearly, if you look at the fight, excuse me, I got something going on in my throat, but you clearly look at the fight, you see 3 different trainers in the corner of the ring, attending to Jermell Charlo in between rounds. And also you see them using the Gatorade bottle. Tony Harrison is making a point that he was only allowed to use a water bottle, but Charlo was using a water bottle and a Gatorade bottle. And he's saying, why was he allowed to have dual resources to hydrate him in between rounds, and Tony Harrison wasn't? He said the only authorized liquid is water. Gatorade isn't authorized, energy drinks, coconut milk, any other substance that you want to think of. None of it is authorized besides water to give the fighter extra needed, advantage or anything to win the fight. Now, also, Tony Harrison was asked this too. Like, what do you want to come from this? Because from what I'm hearing, the commission is looking into this much more. They're doing their own investigation into, what exactly was in the bottle. I'm not sure how they're going to really come to that determination, now that the fight has been over for quite some time, and there's no need. There's no way that they can source the actual container itself and take it back and see what's in it. I'm pretty sure it's been used several times before that. After that fight. Tony Harrison makes the point that he's not trying to have them reverse the win. That's not his purpose, to have them to say, okay, reverse the win. He's admitting that he lost. Tony Harrison is admitting that he lost the fight. That is the truth. He showboated around, he lost the fight. He said, but what I'm trying to do is bring awareness. I don't care about them reversing the loss to a win. It's more so me bringing awareness to a situation that isn't right. When you have something that's out of place, especially in the hurt business, that it can potentially harm somebody or get somebody hurt. I don't blame him for making a point about it. If it's something that's legit, that can potentially be right or it can be wrong. We don't understand. We don't know. It's hard to really go and investigate an object that's after the fight. And of course, it's a Gatorade bottle. There's no way to determine that if commission was send any type of team over there to retrieve it, that they would have enough culpable evidence to say it was absolutely true what Tony Harris is speculating. So it comes to this right here. Tony Harrison is making the point that he's not really trying to get a reversal, because deep down inside, he lost the fight. But on the other hand, he wouldn't mind fighting Charlo again. What I would say, the Boxing Voice was trying to get in contact with Charlo, and they kept being directed to voicemail. But it would be good to hear Charlo's side of what Tony Harrison is talking about, of course, because he was actually the fighter receiving the liquid from the bottle. Now, from the outside looking in, we can't sit up here and say Charlo is guilty. We can't sit up here and point the finger and light up the torches and say, let's march on freaking Charlo's doorstep and say why you had to cheat. No, you can't do that. It has to be more so like Antonio Margarito. You have to catch him in the act. When Margarito hand wraps was seized, thanks to Nassim Richardson being insidious, and catching it, they was able to find out that it was a foreign substance, the plaster of Paris. The wetter it get, the harder it get, right? So That was a legit cheat. You know, just like the Panama Lewis and Billy Collins. Legitimate cheat. You know, and then Antonio Margarita, he was up there drinking something again. You know, he's a cheat, man. But anyway, that's when you light up the torches and say, you know, we need to bring some attention to this particular fighter because you're going to get somebody hurt. And still to this day, I believe that Antonio Margarita, when he fought Miguel Cotto, he had loaded raps. Because for him to make Cotto genuflect, you know, take a knee over in the corner, and Cotto was looking, man, he was looking the worse for wear. It just seems like Antonio Margarita at that point in time, to a fighter like Miguel Cotto, he wasn't playing fair. So I'm curious to know how this is going to play out with the commission doing investigation. You know, for Tony Harrison to bring this up, I can't really sit up here and say you whining or complaining or you don't want to take your loss like a man. I can't say that because it's a big contradiction in a way. He brings it up, but he don't want them to do their due diligence if it's some type of culpability to reverse it to a no contest or something. He said he ain't looking for that because he deep down, you know, in his heart, he felt he lost. But then again, you're bringing it up and it's actually boiling over on the surface of the media, and a lot of people are talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what's going on right now. Athletic Commission is looking into this, and we will see what exactly is going to result from Tony Harrison's comments that allegedly or potentially Charlo was using a Gatorade bottle and a regular water bottle. And what he's trying to suggest is that if Tony Harrison was using a water bottle that was given to him, you know, the little water bottles is given to the fighters ahead of time, then why was Charlo using that water bottle and then a Gatorade bottle? Like I said, I'm not making any speculation. I'm just bringing it to the media's attention. It was a good point. It was something that's really being talked about that Tony Harrison, you know, brought to the light. You know what I'm saying? What's good, Chris Ray? Salute to you. Thanks for dropping in, man. He said, hit the like button. Hey, I appreciate the support, no doubt. But, you know, I'm curious to see what comes of this from the commission. Seriously, because I don't think there's any way that they can provide merit through a proper investigation to determine if there is a foreign substance or an illegal substance in the Gatorade bottle that Charlo used during the Tony Harrison fight. It's been so many weeks after the fight, and for this to be boiling over now in the media, I think maybe some questions to be asked, you know, to go through the protocol, and then those individuals will report it back to the outlets. Then it would segue itself through the channels to give a final conclusion on this matter. But what I said before, you know, Tony Harrison is basically bringing it to light. But on the other hand, he's saying basically he don't want them to come out. Like, what do you want? If I don't want anything to come out of something that I might feel some good energy about, like I know for sure I might not have been on an equal playing field. So therefore, I want something to be done about it. I'm trying to get something changed, right? That's what I'm trying to get. What's up, Seneca J? Salute to you, man. That's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get something changed. You know, just like Alejandra Jimenez that fought Franchise Cruz, his own Cruz. You know, she that's the same thing. Like she supposedly popped for, you know, performance enhancing or whatever it was. And they're gonna have to go through the litigation process to see if anything's gonna happen with that. They're gonna have to do an investigation and see if they're gonna overturn that or what? But looking at that fight, you're saying to yourself, how is she just walking through all those punches? How is it not affecting her, especially in the women's division? How and why, how and why? You know what I'm saying? And then, to hear her talk on the mic, she was sounding like me. And my voice messed up right now. She was on, Jimenez was freaking sound on the mic, sound like me. I'm like, geez, forget that Tinder profile for real. I'm just saying, if it was cheating going on, this is for the boxing. And if anything's there, the most small, minute piece of evidence, I'm pretty sure the commission will find it. But overall, I'm pretty sure Tony Harrison is just looking to move on. He say he needs to fight somebody to get him up, to motivate him. And I don't know why that's the case with Tony Harrison, because he's a very solid fighter. To me, he was outboxing Charlo in the second fight in pockets. If he wouldn't have got stopped, potentially he would have won the fight, in my opinion. But he said, the Kell Brooks out there, he wouldn't mind fighting Kell Brook. They was kind of talk about the fight with Julian Williams, J-Rock, potentially rematching Jason Rosario, what that bout looked like. He's just trying to weigh his options. You have Erickson Lubin out there. Erickson Lubin's still trying to return from his knockout. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't so much the knockout. Like if Erickson Lubin would have gotten knocked out, someone like Tony Harrison did, and he was able to get back up to his feet, then it wouldn't be so much that he had to climb such a tall ladder. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the fact that the way he was knocked out and he was trying to reach, and his neurotransmitters wasn't releasing the synapses gap. They wasn't leaping. They wasn't transmitting to the other side. And the mechanical skills wasn't connecting. So he wasn't able to get his whole freaking structure, mechanical skills, and everything, his bodily functions, to be able to stand up. So he was just there, almost like, just reaching. His mind is firing off, but not to the point where his body's responding. So it looked real bad. It looked really bad. And I'm pretty sure Erickson Lubin, he ain't looking at that fight too much. He ain't looking at the way he got knocked out and he was trying to get up. But it'll be a pretty good fight. Tony Harrison, Kell Brook, Harrison versus freaking Lubin. It's some good fights out there for them, for Tony Harrison. But he has to come to an understanding that people are not going to want to see him out here beating the guys who are good enough to be in that position. But, they still going to say, well, if you beat that person, you need to go back and see if you can beat Charlo again. Unfortunately, Charlo ain't trying to give him a third bout because of the animosity. You know what I'm saying? He ain't trying to give Tony Harrison nothing. He said, F all that. You ain't getting shit from me no more. I got my belt back. It's time to move on. But where does Charlo go from here? Where does Charlo go? Is Charlo really going to, because Jason Rosario already made the point to say he ain't trying to see Jermell Charlo. Where does it go from here? How does he get a hold of those other belts? Because really, that's going to determine the king of the division. Charlo has been on the media lately. He said, he's back on his line, run your mouth. I miss the run your mouth and all that. It's just one thing, that I say about that. Like, I put it this way. When I was actually on the grind, hitting the streets, running miles and miles, no problem. Being there hard charging the core, right? I used to get up in the AM. It didn't matter. I could run whenever I feel like it, work out, do whatever. Even at 50 years old, I could still get on there and do 20 pull-up. Easy. Dead hang too. But this is my point. My point is when Charlo was defeated by Tony Harrison, we really didn't see that Charlo run your mouth, Mr. Run Your Mouth. I would have respected him more if he kept running his mouth when he lost. You know what I'm saying? I would have respected him a lot more when he wasn't, just feeling it so much. He came in the mic. He said, I lost, but I'll be back. Don't worry about it, Harrison. Keep the belt warm. I'll be back. Don't worry about it. It's not going to be long. We're going to make this rematch, and I'm going to come get it back. We're going to run this. And, you was able to get a win somehow tonight, but we're gonna return. But during that hiatus in between time, we didn't hear too much from Charlo. We didn't hear too much of anything. We was like, God damn, where's Charlo at? Like, we saw him shed a tear at the post-fight press conference, but where's this guy at? And the Charlo brothers was just like everywhere. Before that, you couldn't tell them nothing. Like, we're talking about them twins were champions in the same division at one point before Jamal moved up. They got some clout for sure. Of course, Jamal is the better boxer. But Jamel, the way he looked in there against Tony Harrison, in my opinion, he's still headhunting too much. Hey, shout out Chris Ray. Take it easy, bro. Thanks for dropping in. Jamel Charlo was just headhunting too much. He really wasn't just being patient. Errol Spence can be technically proficient and go in there in the eye of the storm for 12 freaking rounds and fight Sean Porter, and you all have the same coach, then you can too. You should be able to go in there and be technically sound and don't try to go in there and headhunt and decapitate a fighter who is slick enough to move and box. But pressure burst pipes, and it seems like the pressure from Jamel Charlo allowed Tony Harrison to believe he can stand in the pocket longer than he needed to. And guess what? Jamel Charlo said, your time is up. I'm going to show you that you a little bit too light to be standing in the phone booth this long. And that's when the first knockdown happened. And then as the fight went on, Tony Harrison had his moments to shine, man. He was boxing, moving. He was using his lateral, hitting Jamel with some nice solid combinations. But then again, we looked at Jamel Charlo. We was like, Jamel looking extra strong. Like, the venom that he's putting on his punches was vicious. The look he had in his eyes, he looked like a lion. He was like, I'm here for the hunt. Tonight, I'm freaking hunting. And he didn't let off because you know what it is. A hunt starts, and that doesn't mean you're going to catch your prey right away. And that night, Jamel Charlo stayed in the hunt with Tony Harrison, and he had already knocked him down. Even though Tony made him miss, Jamel combinations when he was landing on Tony Harrison, to me, had much more sting to him. You know what I'm saying? They just had more pop. And then finally he was able to drop him when he was showboating around in the 11th round. He was showboating in the 9th, I believe, 10. And then in the 11th round, it just almost like he had a mental lapse, man. And, I can't make no excuse for Tony Harrison because I was actually going for Tony Harrison in that fight, hands down, period. People don't want to talk about how much crap, Jamel Charlo was talking to Jared Swift Hurd when he had the titles. He was just being disrespectful. His family was there, his team. He was just talking mad noise. But when he lost, he's going to talk about how his family raised him and everything. But no, we're talking about the way he was acting towards Jared Swift Hurd, who don't even talk like that. He doesn't even give you that type of energy. Jared Swift Hurd is a cool, operator. He's low key, chill. You know what I'm saying? But the way Charlo was going at him, it didn't lead to anything. Like, it didn't bring the fight it didn't bring it much closer. than the trash talk. Really, nothing came from it. Like, it would have been great if we seen Jerry Smith Hurd fight Jamel Charlo. You know what I'm saying? That in itself would have been great. But then Jerry Hurd went over there and lost to J-Rock. And in turn, J-Rock steps in there after convincing the people, not to belittle or disassociate themselves with supporting a fighter off one loss. And he goes in there and lose, again by knockout to Jason Rosario. I still believe that J-Rock has boxing. He has the reservoir. He still have some fight left in the reservoir. I really can't tell you what was going on with him when he stepped in there with Rosario, but I can say this. Something wasn't right with his mouth open in the second round. He just didn't look like he was 100%. He just didn't seem sharp. Rosario wasn't a beast that night. Don't even say that. Rosario looked like the bigger fighter, but shit, he wasn't a beast that night. There's no way nobody convinced me that Rosario came in there and we like looking at something like we did Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? Like we remember when Michael Moore stepped in there with George Foreman. No, we weren't seeing nothing like that. But he was able to get it, get the W. That's all I can say. And then him and his team quickly say they're not looking at Jamel Charlo. Like, what are these fighters making it to the mountaintop for? And then they make it to the mountaintop, and they want a helicopter to come pick them up. They want a freaking, an airplane to fly up to the summit and pick them up instead of them making it to the top and then climbing back down for the full ride. You know what I'm saying? They're like, I'm at the top right now. Just leave me alone. Don't ask me no questions. Let me fight like 2 or 3 people that you never heard of. Let me be. I don't see what's going on. In certain pockets of boxing is just weird. Michael Johnson Boxing Talk and more. Salute to you. The Gatorade ball is individual. If you look at the fight, the Gatorade ball, you can see the Gatorade ball, man. All you have to do is look at the fight. He said, I'm still trying to find it. But where in the writing does it say you can't use the Gatorade bottle? The Gatorade bottle limits transparency. That's all it's doing. He's just making a point to say, what is in the Gatorade bottle? If we was both given water, and it's not to say, you didn't hear me say anything about it was a foreign substance in there and you couldn't use a Gatorade bottle. But when it becomes, when we're dealing with transparency in boxing, the best thing you can use is a freaking water bottle. You know what I'm saying? If everybody came up with a Gatorade bottle, they would have the sauce. It would be a special sauce in there. And every time you look at a special sauce, isn't clear liquid. You know what I'm saying? Usually when you mix something, it provides a sense of cloudiness. It takes away the clarity of the liquid as if water. They say crystal clear. Water, agua, it gives you that freaking visual of transparency. A water bottle, you don't know what the hell they drinking. You don't know if it's freaking Gatorade. You don't know if it's any type of mixture that they have. Come on, man. Like, if you look at the fight, they're hydrating him with the Gatorade bottle and they're using the water bottle. I'm not making any speculation. I'm just bringing it to the point of caveating off what Tony Harrison has mentioned. And it's so much to the point, being that social media is the eye of the freaking storm when it comes to getting news out. The commission is looking into it themselves. They want to find out, what was actually going on with that. What's up with it? I'm not making an accusation. I'm just reporting on what Tony Harrison posted. He posted it, and it's all over social media. And it's not like he's fabricating it. All he's saying is they won't plan on level playing fields. You know what I'm saying? Like if he's taking water out of a water bottle and Jermell Charlo has a Gatorade bottle, then I'm going to call it for what it is. I'm going to call that spade exactly for what it is. I suggest something. This is Tony Harrison. I suggest it may not be water in a Gatorade bottle. That's all he's saying. And for them to take a look into it. That's all. Just think about it. If you in boxing and everybody was just allowed, to bring different containers up there to hydrate their fighters, don't you think it'll be a less, with the cameras rolling, don't you think it would be a less policing, a less matter of policing if everybody brought their own containers and was able to hydrate their fighters? You wouldn't have a clue what a fighter is taking. He's coming out every single round looking stronger and stronger and stronger. And you're like, what the hell is going on, man? I know I'm punishing this dude. How is he continuing to recuperate so quickly? This is a hard fight. 3 hard minutes. And this dude coming out fresh like it's round 1. That's why boxing attempts to, do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Just like they have inspectors. When you're getting your hand wraps, you have to have a member from the other team watch. That's just trying to make boxing a safe sport within its brutality, y'all. That's what they're doing. That's why they have you watch to get your hand and then watch when your gloves, the selected gloves before you put the gloves on and everything. To make sure you ain't walking out to the ring with goddamn 2 rows of quarters in your gloves. You know what I'm saying? They ain't trying to have nobody go out here and get killed like that. And then the fighter take off his gloves and quarters dropping all over the ring. You know what I'm saying? Or you have a foreign substance like the plaster of Paris. You have freaking metal plate in there. I mean, it's so many areas of concern that you can point the finger at. Somebody got to take a step. But what's amazing, though, is that the situation with Panama Lewis and Billy Collins is that, Luis Resto, which was Panama Lewis fighter, he wasn't even undefeated. But Billy Collins was. You know what I'm saying? Billy Collins was undefeated. And he was an up-and-comer, like his dad. He was trying to come up the ranks. And he wanted to be a, world champion like his dad. So he took up boxing. But the one special point to note is his dad decided to freaking train him. You know what I'm saying? His dad said, you know what? I can train my son. I can train him. So if you look at his record, his record is 14-0, 11 knockouts. At the time he fought Luis Resto, Luis Resto was 28-2. 8 losses. 8 freaking losses. This was at Madison Square Garden. They went into this fight cheating from the start by Panama Lewis removing an ounce of padding around the knuckles from each knuckle inside the glove. And also he put what was considered like a dime size hole or something like that in the palm of the glove, just so when they was in a clinch or they got close or he punched with the palm of his glove, the leather, the material can mess up or injure the eye of Billy Collins. And that's what happened. So being that he was fighting with less padding, it really messed Billy Collins up. Like Luis Resto, he messed Billy Collins up. His eyes were swelled up, and his dad was like wondering, like, dang, how is my son, taking all this punishment? How is that possible? It doesn't seem like the punches is that hard. Like, what's going on here? And his son is undefeated. You know what I'm saying? He was 22 freaking years old. He had a bright future in boxing. So I can understand why Tony Harris is just making a point to say, okay, you might want to take a look into this. But he didn't really say that. He just put the comment out there and it exploded. But the one thing about the Panama Lewis and Luis Resto is when he went over there to shake Billy Collins' father's hand, his father felt that there was hardly any padding in the glove. So immediately Resto panicked and started trying to, prove his innocence right there on the spot. He was like, no, I ain't doing that. My glove's okay. So they confiscated the gloves. And there's a lot that went behind that. Like Panama Lewis was saying that the gloves was tampered with. They put him in the back of a commission's car and they stayed back there a couple of days and somebody tampered with him. But the commission examined the gloves and found out that the padding was removed illegally. So what happened, they got charged with assault, using their hands as a deadly weapon. And both of them served prison time for sure. But Panama Lewis was banned for life. You know what I'm saying? And Luis Resto, he was freaking suspended. He was able to fight. Once these fighters get suspended, like Antonio Margarita, once his suspension expired, he was able to get his license right away. We're talking about a guy who got caught trying to add a foreign substance to his hand wraps, and all he got was a suspension. And then one of his team, I believe his coach, got a suspension. And once that was up, they was able to get their license back. But the crazy thing about Billy Collins' situation is that they banned Panama Lewis and forced him to coach on the peripheral side of boxing outside the U.S. But for Billy Collins, it just ruined his life. Like the guy went in a downward spiral. He had a pregnant wife, and she was only like a teenager. Like I said, he was 22 at the time. She was 18, and he was drinking and smoking marijuana a lot, and he was really going through bad times because the damage he received in the fight, the glove scratched his iris, and the doctor told him he wouldn't be able to box again. It was that bad. So at that point in time, he just spiraled out of control. And he had an accident, which a lot of people were saying it was suicide, and he died on impact. He actually had a passenger in the car that survived, but Billy Collins died on impact. And it was kind of a sad story, but it will always be in the boxing annals about cheaters. Always. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of crazy stories out there about boxing. But back to Tony Harris and Charlo. To be honest, I don't think too much is going to come out of this, y'all. The reason being is that I can see if it was a Billy Collins situation. I can see if something else was there. Like Tony Harrison was doing anything and everything, and he was undefeated, and he was just that fighter. And Charlo wasn't really that high stakes of a opposition or competitor to do the damage he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like it had to be much more in the freaking pot, much more for us to say this right here isn't balancing correctly. Something is seriously wrong. What's up? It's hard for us to determine, but something isn't right. And then, it would have been more so a investigation of heightened awareness. But in this case with Tony Harrison, he was showboating around. He was playing and he got dropped. You know, he got stopped in the 11th round. They may go around and try to source an investigation, but they ain't gonna find too much about anything. And I really don't care. I really don't care, to be honest, because Tony Harrison had his opportunity, and then when he stepped on the mic, just several days after the fight, he talking about he'd give his paycheck, his whole paycheck, to get that back again and all that. It just doesn't make any sense. Something ain't right. Something ain't going on. You know, something don't make sense with him. You know, I had the opportunity to interview him. He cool cat. You know, no nonsense. But if you're talking about seizing the moment and defending your title, and then going on potentially, if Tony Harrison would have defeated Jermell Charlo for a second time, he possibly could have fought for the biggest paycheck of his career in fighting a unified champion. You know, to try to unify the titles. It's definitely not far-fetched. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what comes out of it. We will see. This weekend in Nashville, Tennessee, y'all, Kayla Plant is on deck. Kayla Plant, the IBF World Super Middleweight title holder. You know, Kayla Plant is 27. He has so much boxing ahead of him. Seriously. He's faced so much, you know, adversity, tragedy in his life. And you know, I was kind of talking about him losing his daughter, and then he lost his mom in such a tragic way. But he's going to be in there with Vincent Feegan boots this weekend. It's a championship fight. You know, it's going to be scheduled for 12. So, you know, this is going to be in Nashville. Kayla Plant is ranked 8th. Feegan boots 21. And a lot of people don't know about Vincent Feegan boots. You know, German fighter who's had much of his fights over there. So, you know, he only has 2 losses. You know, early on in his career, he lost, I think, only his second fight. And then he lost to Giovanni De Carolis via TKO. So he's been stopped before twice. His 2 losses are stoppages. So him stepping in here, a bulky like super middleweight, you know what I'm saying, in there with a slick fighter like Kayla Plant. I'm curious to see how this plays out, of course, because right now, man, Kayla Plant in that division, man, I like his odds in unifying whenever he comes about that. Like he told me when we was in Vegas that his primary fighter that he want to focus on to potentially get a unification bout is for the WBC title, David Benavides. You know, he said point blank, I don't like the guy. He said, I don't like the guy. And he was all seriousness, you know, he was sitting next to his father. I said, okay, I hope I see that fight then. You know, you can check the interview out on my YouTube channel. So he's going to be the headliner, Kayla Plant, the IBF World Super Middleweight Champion. And, you know, he's going to be the main event this weekend. The card is kind of light. Seriously, to be honest, the Nashville card is definitely light. I'm not sure you're going to hear a lot of people talking about it, but it is boxing, and Kayla Plant is legitimate champion. So let me take you to who's going to be on the undercard. Caleb Truex, he was supposed to fight on the undercard, but his opponent didn't come through. You know what I'm saying? So that was a big deal to make the card that much watchable for the weekend, but his opponent fell out. It's going to be Fox televised triple hitter Saturday beginning at 8 o'clock p.m. EST Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. You're gonna have welterweights Bryan Pirela, who's 17-2, 14 knockouts against Abel Ramos, who's 25 victories, 3 losses, 2 by way of draw and 19 KOs. They will collide in a 10-round bout. And then you have a fighter, Austin Dulé, 13 victories, 1 defeat, and 10 KOs. He will meet former 2-time title challenger. You all know who this is, Diego Magdaleno, 31-3, 31-3, 13 knockouts. Yes, that's the same Diego Magdaleno who Teofimo Lopez knocked out right in front of me. Yeah, that was a good fight, though. And you know what? To be honest, Diego Magdaleno isn't a punk. I know he went in there and lost to Teofimo Lopez, but before he got dropped, I mean, he was bowdy. He was game. But Teofimo Lopez, like Richard Comey, he was just too much for both of them, man. But they will be in a 10-round lightweight scrap. This will be Caleb Plant's second defense. I forgot to mention that. That'll be his second defense. So we're really looking forward to see Caleb Plant stay busy. You know? Shout out to Caleb Plant, man, IBF champion. I really want him, if he goes in here like I think he will, you know what I'm saying, and finish this fight, then hopefully we see a unification fight, man, because we saw Mike Lee. Mike Lee is similar to Vincent Feegan boots, to be honest. Mike Lee was all bulky, looked like a tough guy. I mean, looked like a tough man type of dude, a weightlifter, bodybuilder, a CrossFit dude. And he came in there off the gate. And, you know, Mike Lee was undefeated, too, when he fought Caleb Plant. He came in there and tried to bully Caleb Plant, try to use all that damn muscle. And he found himself on the canvas quick. And Caleb Plant was like, okay, get your ass up. You ain't finished. Get your ass up. Let's go. You know, and as it played out, he ended up stopping the dude, man. Easy work. Seriously, easy work. He ended up stopping him in the 8th round. But what we saw in that fight, Caleb Plant showing how smooth and fluid and how he go in there and masters his technique. You know, it's not too often that you see him getting sloppy in there. I know some people may say, well, Caleb Plant a little boring, but no. I mean, dude goes in there and he sticks to the fundamentals. You know, he's very punctual, accurate with his shots. I like the way he set up his combinations. And if he does return back to a particular shot, like a hook to the body or uppercut, he still does it with class, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not wild. He's not freaking sitting up here making you, you know, think when we was watching Charlo and Tony Harrison, like, damn, Charlo is just digging and missing badly. Like, dude is fueled. It seemed like Charlo was fueled with rage. But, you know, when Caleb Plant returns back with the hook to the body or, you know, his combinational sets, they look smooth, man. And you saw Mike Lee go down. So they had the sting. But when he's throwing them, it doesn't look like he's throwing them with conviction. That's how smooth Caleb Plant boxes. Yep. For sure. I don't know if y'all heard this not. I'm going to change lanes a little bit, and then I'm going to jump off here because my throat is jacked up. But they was talking about Mike Tyson. I saw an article out there, Mike Tyson would like to come back and fight Deontay Wilder. So Mike Tyson is just a little bit older than myself. I think he's like at 53 right now. But Mike Tyson coming out of retirement to face, I know y'all are probably thinking like, look at Bernard Hopkins, look at freaking George Foreman. But think about this, Mike Tyson, who was potentially making $450 to $500K a month off his marijuana farm dispensary, for him to be smoking the way he does and come back and try to get in there with a tall, active champion like Deontay Wilder would be murder. It would truly be murder. It would be 49th hour. Seriously. They better have the forensic team on standby, first responders, freaking, they better have an EMT. They better have somebody on standby. They better have My Pillow, the person that promote My Pillow, they better have Joshua Greer Jr. with a fresh pillow by ringside because Tyson going to sleep. Tyson is going to sleep in a bad way. I hope he doesn't, but we've seen fighters who stay in the sport too long. You know, I don't want to talk about the OG, freaking Zab Judah, but we've seen what happened to him. I'm glad he was able to recover and everything. But, you know, we also seen the data shafts, man, die in the ring, man. We really don't see, we ain't trying to see that with Mike Tyson. You know, seeing Mike Tyson in public, the way the crowd freaking gathers around him, man, like a magnet. Like, he really gets legendary status, man. Like, people hurry up and scurry up to freaking Mike Tyson when he's on deck. And we're talking about a man who went to prison for rape and everything else. I'm just happy to see him being able to recover in the eye of the public to enjoy what he worked so hard for during his career. We know he had a lot of problems. You know, a lot of fighters in the sport have problems. I'm not trying to freaking dilute the fact of what he went to prison for, what he did, or who he was, how he acted. But I'm just saying it's good to see that Mike Tyson was able to recover and not be freaking ostracized or banished into seclusion with people still talking about, you know, he wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? He's a criminal. So that's where I'm at with that. If you don't see below, man, you know, I'm on my own dime, independent media. So y'all want to donate to the channel, you can do that below. You know, the donation is right there. If you want to show support to World Combat Sports, it's all good in the super chat. But for those of you that came in, thank you for your support. I'm kind of goddamn jacked up right now. I don't know what the hell happened, but man, something going on, sore throat. Man, I'm like, I got to get rid of this. I got to get on here and do these podcasts. Excuse me. I'm gonna end it with this. Jesus, it's a lot of talk in the aftermath, and no, let me no, hold up. I have one more boxing note to hold on for a sec. I want to talk about my boy Terence Crawford. Maybe y'all can give me some info on this. You know, I want your input, not info. Your input. So Terence Crawford, 36-0, 26-0, 27 knockouts. Have y'all gotten word to his next opponent? I just hope it isn't true. But I've actually read, you know, a little bit about it, and his next opponent isn't a big name, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We're really waiting on that. We're really waiting on who Terence Crawford next opponent is going to be, because obviously it's not going to be Errol Spence that's coming off that accident. You know what I'm saying? But a name did pop up. I kind of deleted the article, but a name has popped up. It's not a big name. Him coming off the Mean Machine fight. We're really looking forward to him to fight a name that's notable, of popularity, so we can, you know, want to tune in and see what's popping, so we can get on here and talk about the fight, boost it up, promote it, and everything else. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be a big opponent. We'll see. Adrian Brunner, I know you all have heard. First he said, you know, give me $20 million, I'll fight Devin Haney. But who can Adrian Brunner fight in the division I mean, in a suitable division that we know that he'll make weight that people will tune into, because 135 is just too much for Adrian Brunner. It's too much for him to make. Seriously. But definitely, I know for a fact he's due back in the ring. That's from the horse's mouth really soon. So expect a lot of media grabs from Adrian Brunner. I guarantee it. Mark my word. Remember, I told you this. Expect he already started it, believe it or not. He already started. Whenever Adrian Brunner has a fight coming up, maybe 2 months out, you're going to see something that he's in trouble, or he's going to put out a post to say, boxing is dead. I'm done. I ain't never fighting again. And then the media run with it. Oh, Adrian Brunner's retiring from boxing again? Like, I guarantee you're going to start to see Adrian Brunner put that out there again. Also, Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. What do y'all think about that? You think Ryan Garcia ready for Gervonta? Ryan Garcia has a fight coming up with Fonseca. We know that. So Florida's basically, before he had said if Ryan Garcia can defeat Rolly, then he'll give him the fight with Gervonta. Now Ryan Garcia is facing his next opponent, but it's already kind of that Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin type shit. When Canelo stepped in there with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and the fight between him and Gennady Golovkin was already made. So when he sit up there and use Chavez Jr. as a punching bag for 12 rounds, then immediately Gennady stepped in the freaking ring to announce they was going to fight for the first time. You know what I'm saying? I hope it ain't one of those deals. But of course, Ryan Garcia in there with Gervonta Davis, man, it would do bigger numbers than what you think. And you know what? Because Ryan Garcia don't even have the freaking credentials that Gervonta has. Not even close. Not even freaking close. But he's stepping in there with Francisco Fonseca, who's 25-2-2. And at the time, Ryan Garcia is undefeated with 16 knockouts. What's going on, Rob Sportsman Lee? Salute to you, man. Yeah, I was talking about that earlier. Tony Harrison just thinking that it might have been an illegal hydration substance in the bottle. He's not saying it was. He's just saying that while they're using a water bottle and a Gatorade bottle, you can't see what's in a Gatorade bottle, but you can see what's in a water bottle. And if someone sees a different type of colorization in a water bottle, they're gonna say, "Hey, what's that? What's that he drinking? It's supposed to be strictly water." They can be having Pedialyte in there. They can have anything, but Tony Harrison ain't trying to get that shit changed. He just made note of it. That's his words. He just made note of it. But anyway, back to Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia, he has a fight coming up this weekend. All right. So in case y'all want to tune into that, it's going to be for that WBC Council Silver title. There's going to be up there for Ryan Garcia. And King Ray the Flash. How do y'all think he'll do against Gervonta Davis? Because before we was hearing that Leo Santa Cruz may face Gervonta Davis. So who would you want to see? Leo Santa Cruz and Tank, or Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis? Who would bring more to the table? Because to be honest, Leo Santa Cruz, he's not going to really promote the fight like Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is going to talk his trash to Tank Davis. And Tank Davis, you know what he's going to do. He's going to do what he do. We all saw what happened to Yuriorkis Gamboa. The entire week, I'm looking at this dude. He ain't saying anything. Like, he's extremely dialed in. He's extremely focused. He wasn't trash talking. He just had this look of determination on his face, like he was getting ready to go to war. I mean, I don't blame him. And he went in there and put on a damn good performance of his, than we thought. So the one thing we can say about the takeaway from that fight where Yuriorkis got bored, he didn't speak any English enough to the point where he can sell the fight, especially being down here in Atlanta. But Ryan Garcia, of course, he would absolutely go in there and talk trash to Gervonta. It would be much more of a promotion. It would probably be somewhat like Tony Harrison and Jamel Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Gervonta actually tried to say, yeah, he getting a little cocky. I'm about to get in his ass. I'm about to tax that ass. He was trying to talk crap, but his interpreter, Yuriorkis Gamboa interpreter, will have to lean over, tell Gamboa what Gervonta said, and then Yuriorkis Gamboa, he wouldn't say too much. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't say too much. But Leo Santa Cruz, as far as his career, technical skills, of course, he's legitimate. I mean, if he's planning on moving up and facing Gervonta, or Gervonta moving to 130, okay, let's see what happens. But I think more so the younger generation of boxing will gravitate to Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. Because, Ryan Garcia has built this following of being the flash and, his reactive drills. A lot of people tune into that. His social media following. He's bringing a lot of people to the dance, man. So we'll see what happens. Gary Russell Jr., I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him. He's just coming off a victory of King Tug, Yambayar. So we want to see if he's going to actually keep his word and move up. I'm trying to actually set up an interview with Gary Russell Jr. or Antoine or Antonio, because they all had fights on that card the past weekend. So I want to see what Gary Russell's itinerary going to look like. Is he willing to move up to 135 tomorrow and say, you know what, I'm done. With the featherweight division, it's time to go. It's time to go. I'm moving up the lightweight. And he said ain't nobody at 130 for him. So if he want to go up there and face Gervonta, people come see that. People would definitely come see that fight. Because a lot of people believe that Gervonta can get outboxed. They believe he's going to get tired now. And we don't know that. We don't know how, we know the technical aspect of Gary Russell facing Gervonta. It's going to be extremely high level. It's going to be methodical, and it's going to be special. But people need to understand that Gervonta Davis can box, but it's his cardio. Will he be able to keep up with the speed? What is the dynamic going to be if these two lock up? Gary Russell. Who's going to be able to vanish the other? We'll see, man. Rob Sportsman Lee said Charlo passed his drug test. It wasn't about drugs. It wasn't about drugs, man. It was all about if it was maybe Gatorade in there, because you're not allowed to use Gatorade, Pedialyte, any type of freaking cocoa milk, anything to get your body to recover faster. A Red Bull, any of that. You're not supposed to have any of that. When you have to understand the what they actually test for. What they would have in the ring in this particular casting, this podcast, it's not talking about anything illegal. It's just talking about possibly having an advantage with an energy drink, something to help you recover in such a tough, high impact fight as they was in. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying anything that dealing with drug related. No, it's not anything like that. It's nothing like that. And the last thing I got, I will get back with you all. About the aftermath of John Jones and Dominic Reyes. I'm trying to get an interview with Dominic Reyes, but he's all over the place on social media. doing interviews with the big dogs. So I'm really trying to see and get his take on the fight. I'm really hoping to get him in for an interview after he make his rounds because he's talking to the larger networks right now. And I got some good questions for him because I was one of the people that felt like he won. I know John Jones has been on social media saying that Dominique Reyes was going backwards the whole fight and John Jones got the takedowns. But John Jones, he needs to understand that he got the takedowns in the 4th and 5th round. He didn't do anything with the takedowns. I mean, he's in denial big time. Like, I know he's considered the GOAT, but they've been testing him a lot, and that may have an effect on his performances because John Jones is one of the most tested fighters in the UFC right now. And he may be suffering from what he was actually doing to not having it in his system. And he got to pace himself through the fight. We did see him keep that intensity up for 5 rounds. But as far as him being first, initiating the gate, you know what I'm saying? That was Dominique Reyes. Dominique Reyes was the Kickstarter. He didn't allow John Jones to have a pulse. Every time he felt it, he was able to execute a strike. Dominique Reyes never allowed him to get into his rhythm. Never. He was first most of the time until he got tired at the end of the 3rd round or whatever. And then he still survived pretty good in the 4th and 5th. But I'm curious to see, what's going to come out of this if they bring this fight back for a second one. I don't think so. They might put Corey Anderson in there to fight John Jones next. And the way John Jones looked against Dominique Reyes, I'm curious to see what Corey Anderson got for John Jones. Because in his last 3 fights now, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, and Dominique Reyes, it hasn't been knockouts. So Corey Anderson is a wrestler. He has decent power. Do I think his skill set, mixed martial arts wise, is better than Dominique Reyes? No. No. Not at all. So Augusto said Dominique Reyes is a light heavyweight champion, UFC champion. Yeah, man, Dominique Reyes should have won that bout. Unfortunately, he got robbed. I'm not gonna say he got robbed, okay? I know a lot of people saying it's not a robbery, but the judges got it wrong. The language is people don't want to underscore that it was a robbery, but they want to relate it to the George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks fight, where George St. Pierre looked battered. Johnny Hendricks battered George St. Pierre, and they gave it to George St. Pierre. Why? Because he was the more popular fighter. This kind of seems like, John Jones having the most championship wins, trying to put him in the record books, trying to rebuild his image since returning to the sport. It just seems like that was one of those moments where, hey, John, just like that DQ, you kind of came up short. John Jones should have lost that fight. He can talk about takedowns all he wants, but you can't sit up here and say, I got a takedown and didn't do anything. Like, what about the knockdown that Dominique Reyes was able to get in the 3rd round? A knockdown is a knockdown, but a takedown is graded different than getting a knockdown in the fight. See, if you have a knockdown in mixed martial arts, let's say the UFC, because this is the platform we own. Just say you get a knockdown. It depends on if it's a punch to the body like it was with John Jones, or a punch to the face, a kick to the face, whatever, a body shot, whatever the case. It's all about what happens after that. Because just because the fighter goes down doesn't make it a 10-8 round. That fighter has to be seriously hurt, and it's some ground and pound, and the fighter's able to just maintain a dominant position on the top, land some lethal blows, strikes, whatever, score effectively for that round to be judged like a 10-8 round. You know, if you just get a takedown on a fighter in mixed martial arts with no damage, it shouldn't be a 10-8 round. You know what I'm saying? If you got multiple takedowns and you landed some punishment, some minor punishment doing those takedowns, and you was able to control your opponent for what? Let's say a good 30 seconds to a minute, and you had freaking control, then that may count as a 10-8. It depends on who's judging. But if you like John Jones going in for a takedown and get it, and Reyes was able to make it back to his feet easily, it's still a 10-9 round, man. That's what they gave him. They gave John Jones a 10-9 round. So why is John Jones talking about, I got the takedown? The judges gave you a 10-9 round, bruh. They did not give you 10-8s for them for the fourth and fifth round when you got a takedown. Shit's crazy. But my voice is jacked up, y'all. That's all I got. Hey, be sure to follow me on all social media. Greenleaf, what's good? What's good? All social media. Truly appreciate the support. You know, donate to the channel if you choose to do so. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on IG. And shout out to the Boxing Voice who, you know, I was kind of tagging off the live early on, just a little piece of it. So keep on doing great media, man. Y'all have the media world on fire. You know what I'm saying? So salute to everybody who dropped through. I'm going to go ahead and goddamn get some honey or something, man. For real. But be sure to turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports.